Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. Our next guest is Alec Wolf from HomeSmart in Northfield. Alec, welcome to the show.
Thank you much.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. So we talked a little bit before the interview, but I always like to start it out like pre-present Alec. So I use the same joke every time. No one puts their hand up and says in second grade, I want to be a realtor when I grow up. You know what I mean?
know I didn't.
So talk a little bit about your journey, from school to wherever you had to go and how you got here.
Perfect. Yeah, so I started off going to living in Mullica Hill, went to St. Augustine Prep. There, just like most people, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Kind of always knew I would want to do sales just based off of working for my dad, really, going from business to business and working for his business there. And then I went to Penn State and enjoyed that. 2020 was when I graduated. Obviously, COVID hit that March. So I had a job lined up in corporate America. And with COVID, the world shut down. I kind of knew that would be getting put on pause. And the real estate business, I did the real estate school online. Kind of thought I would do it for part-time at first, just because I didn't know where my corporate job would land. And then I moved down the shore in Ocean City in May of 2020. And then I got into real estate from there. And once I thought I was going to do it part-time, I kind of just jumped in head first and did it full-time and been doing it since.
Now you're here. Nice. So what field was the corporate job supposed to be?
So it was corporate technology sales, so like office sales. So
nice.
Again, kind of in that field.
More phone or more in person?
More like in person.
Okay.
Obviously, again, COVID kind of changed all that.
Yeah. Knocked that out.
And then, with COVID, it kind of knew that was changing in itself.
Okay.
The office feel and all that stuff.
Sure.
So.
And recently you joined HomeSmart.
Yep.
What's something that stuck out to you? I know people from HomeSmart all over the place. My ex-wife was at HomeSmart for a while. A couple of my really good friends are still there. What attracted you to that platform? Because everybody kind of has their own impression of what it is.
Sure. So I came from Keller Williams, and what really stuck out with HomeSmart was believing in the broker that they have. I mean, obviously that's key. And then really the technology that they offer behind that, from having your own website to personalized CRM to your co-marketing your listings and kind of the whole package with the technology specifically on listings as well as buyers, of course, too.
Nice. Now, you've been doing it for a little bit now. Do you tend to have a certain buyer that you would call your niche, or are you like a first-time home buyer guy,
Sure.
or are you a listing only or a buyer only, or you just take whatever?
Yeah, sure. So that makes sense. So to give you kind of perspective, my business is probably about 60-40 between sellers and buyers.
Okay.
I would say most of my buyers right now are through, Zillow and the Zillows of the world. Realtor.com is obviously as well as my center of influence. With that being said, obviously they're going to be step-up buyers, which tends to happen down the shore. And then most of my sellers happen to be expired listings as well as, calling around the neighborhood once I sell a property. It's kind of split between those two for sellers.
Nice. And you had said when we were talking before here that you're a cold call guy. You're a phone banger. You're like that. And that's really not common, especially not in the younger generation.
Sure.
Like I know some 50-year-old realtors that have been just doing the same thing for 25 years, so they do it. So how did you get turned on to the cold calling, and how do you attack it? Because most people that's the thing they definitely don't want to do.
Right, and I hear that often. Mm-hmm. So the way I got kind of brought into it, again, going back to my dad and, kind of working for him at first and getting my feet wet. And then once I got in the real estate business, I joined a team. And my mentor there, Jeff Quinton, he's big on the phones. It's that's how he got to where he was and is, which is one of the top agents on the island.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I learned from. And ultimately, it's not a popular thing to get on the phones and call, like you said, especially with the younger generation. But what I found is that it works, and really it's predictable in terms of, okay, if I do this every day, I know this will happen.
Sure.
which is, comfortable and security behind that.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. If you can, I'm a phone banger loan officer from way back, and it just became data. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I get one out of every 200 phone calls, I know I got to make 200 phone calls a day, and
Exactly.
there it goes through to go through. So on the listing side of things, as a younger dude, what do you do to prepare yourself to go to a listing appointment to overcome that objection of you're a younger dude? Like,
Sure.
how do you go to a presentation to 55, 60-year-old people and overcome that objection?
That's a good question. So one of the biggest things I do is it's all about your mindset. And for me, before I go in the actual presentation, I get there about 15 minutes early, and I just do, affirmations and get my mindset right that I'm going to have the listing before I even walk in.
Nice. I like
and
that.
display that confidence. And really what I found that happens when, with sellers, when I get in, is I show that confidence. And at the end of the day, sellers and buyers, they go with who they trust. And that's what I found has worked. At the same time, sure, there's some people that say that, but, you're too young. And at that point, I always fall back on my team or my company's success.
Sure.
And, make them understand that it's not just me they're dealing with.
Right. And what type of presentation are you comfortable with? Do you bring paper handouts? Are you a PowerPoint guy? Are you?
So I kind of, do more of a quote unquote canned presentation that's personalized.
Sure.
And then kind of just go through the market analysis with them, and then from there see where, based off of the comps and whatnot in the market, where they feel they're comfortable with pricing their home.
Sure.
And kind of make that through the comps, have them own the price, and it's not me telling them, hey, you need to list for $500,000.
Right.
Have them own the price and show them through the comps, and we both come to a meeting of the minds from there.
Sure. One of the interesting things, especially in the market previous to now and still right to now, is there's a lot of people that think their house is worth a lot more than it is. So how do you tell somebody they can't list their house for $1.5 million because it's not going to happen? Or how do you talk to them to kind of coax them into a realistic sales price rather than shooting 70% above the actual value?
Well, and the market's definitely shifting. I think just about everybody knows that. So, before, 6 months ago, you could take that home and the market was probably going to catch up to it. So it all comes down to a business decision at the end of the day. And to overcome that, it really comes down to their motivation. If they're, if they want to sell it in 3 months and the price that they are picking is 9 months, then then it's a business decision at that time. I always like to structure it, to have a bidding war like in 30 days to kind of be in the middle, which is always where I kind of want their price to be, and then kind of out their price 6 to 9 months. Market has to appreciate. And kind of, they tend to pick that middle price. They don't want to be too high, but they don't want to be too low.
Sure.
And that's usually the price where I feel that,
Nice.
it needs to be at.
I like it. All right, so now let's talk future stuff. 2024, September, 2 years from now, where is Alec Wolf? Tell me some goals that you have in your mind. You got a vision board, you got all that stuff.
Yeah,
love it,
of course.
love it. So what are some things that you're going to accomplish in the next 2 years?
Sure, absolutely. So first and foremost, to have 3 investment properties.
Okay.
All down the shore, specifically multifamilies.
Airbnb? Or
Airbnb is actually very big down the shore, and
Sure.
it's kind of helped the home values, especially buyers, kind of still have that cash flow. So definitely Airbnb, specifically in Wildwood and Ocean City.
Okay.
In terms of real estate, I'll be having 40 transactions a year.
Okay.
This year I'm on track for about 20 transactions. Some personal goals would be to get a new car. I'm looking at a Mercedes.
Okay.
Mercedes, I guess it would be 2024. And those are kind of the big ones on my board.
Nice. I love it. So outside of business, what do you do for Alec? What do you do to nurture your soul? Are you like play sports? Are you sing? Or what kind of hobbies do you have? What do you do with your free times? You got to have something.
Of course, everybody does.
Hopefully.
Especially in real estate.
Yes. If not, you'll burn out quick.
Get some gray hairs.
Mm-hmm.
Some hobbies of mine, really just, going to the gym. I do surf since I moved down the shore. Surfing's pretty big down there. I'm a big reader. I wasn't like that when I was younger, but I actually do enjoy reading now.
Like physical books or audiobooks?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I'm in my car so much that audiobooks kind of, is kind of easy. But I do read in the mornings and, at night just to try to put my phone away. Other than that, typical stuff, like to watch football, basketball, and obviously hang out with family and friends.
Sweet. What's your top 2 podcasts that you listen to?
Ooh, top 2 podcasts. I would say Barstool Sports with Big Cat.
Okay.
That would definitely be one. And my second one would probably be Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. That's an awesome one. All right, so now we're going to go to a musical question, your personal question. You can have any artist, whether they're still around or they're dead, come to your house and play a concert for you. They're going to play 2 songs. Who's the artist and what are the 2 songs you want to hear?
One of them would be the one I don't know the artist, but I was listening to at the gym. I would have to look at it. I'm kind of drawing the blank. Take Your Back, I think, is by Frank Stallone.
Okay.
And the one Rocky.
All
and
right.
then the other one would be definitely The Weeknd. The song, it'd probably be Often by The Weeknd.
All right, cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
by.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. That'll do it for this week's edition of Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood. We'll see you next week.